My career's taken me back and forth. I actually started in California, came out to Northern Virginia, went back to California for a biotech company, and come back to Maryland a couple of times. So I've been a part of 4 Maryland companies. I've run 2 Maryland companies. And what keeps me in Maryland is essentially the community. I mean, the things that we have here. It's amazing to me that it isn't as widely known and understood as it is. But not only do we have an amazing biotech community, about 800 companies here in Maryland along the 270 corridor and elsewhere in Maryland, but we have the FDA, we have CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, we have the NIH, we have the Office of the National Coordinator for Healthcare IT, we have the NIH, we have Johns Hopkins, Adventist Healthcare, MedStar. We have all the pieces that we need to be successful in biotechnology. And then on top of that, having worked in different regions throughout the state, we have a community here that is driven to work together, support one another, and make sure that the community and the industry succeeds. What fuels my passion, and why do I stay in biotechnology? I mean, why not go back into engineering? Why not get into sustainable energy, for instance? And it's because of the people that I help and what I see. When I was a young grad out of college in the early 80s, right, in California, I got involved with the American Red Cross, and I got an opportunity to be a pioneer in AIDS education. My role was to develop AIDS programs and educational programs for healthcare workers and others in the industry, dentists, nurses, doctors, even hairdressers. And at that time, people were scared to death, right? They were frightened because if you got a diagnosis of AIDS, it was a death sentence. Today, it's a controllable chronic disease, and that's because of biotechnology. We did that. And here in Maryland, we sequenced the human genome. We have companies here in Maryland today that are developing cures for diabetes, cures for cancer. I'm working with a client right now, another company who has what I consider to be the holy grail for cancer diagnostics, the ability to diagnose cancer from a blood test. And it's these kinds of developments that are going to improve healthcare, create precision medicine, and just continue to help millions of people. And that's where the passion comes from. Anytime that I've been in Maryland, and as I said, I've been a part of 4 companies in Maryland, I've been a member of the Tech Council of Maryland, or what is now the Maryland Technology Council. After I formed Cellnova, I was talking with some of the board members, and they asked me if I would come in and help the organization through a leadership transition. The earlier CEO had stepped down. They were working through negotiation of a merger. They wanted someone to help represent that side of the merger and to help build the organization. Now, my background again is all bioscience, right? The Tech Council is both technology and bioscience. But because I've been a part of the organization for a long time, I felt it was the right thing to do and a good thing to do, especially for the community. We now have a much larger, much more relevant organization. But this organization in Maryland, first of all, it's the largest bioscience industry organization in the state of Maryland. There are a couple of other smaller related organizations, but it's the largest. Secondly, there's a number of things that we do, that the organization does, that the bioscience community needs. There's the representation aspect, right? So we advocate on behalf of our companies. We make sure the tax credits for investment are in place to support our businesses and our companies. We make sure the legislators understand the importance to the economy of bioscience in Maryland. So there's the representation piece of what we do. But there's also a very important convening role of the organization, and that's probably where most of the value comes for our earlier stage companies. To bring the companies together so that young companies can meet older, more developed companies. Young entrepreneurs can meet successful entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs can mentor one another, right? And even reverse mentor one another, because we're moving into a world now of technology, and we need the younger entrepreneurs to help educate the older entrepreneurs in many ways. So this convening role of bringing the organizations together is critical. And then introducing them to sources of capital and sources of partnerships, supporting them at national conventions like BIO or the JP Morgan Health Conference, are all functions that young, small to mid-sized companies really need help with. Today, our executives are busier than they've ever been. And the more that we can help take their, what I call their network of influence, right? And help contract that for them, help bring it closer to them so that they can do a better job networking and making those contacts, the better and more successful they're going to be.